you're looking to get into business or just in general, anything in life, you're going to fail. Like, get used to it and fail your way forward. Like, that's the saying, right? Is fail your way forward.
So before you jump forward then.
Yeah.
So what you said that John does in Murray, what happened with Pyle when you guys bought it?
With Pyle? So when we bought it, total operation almost went out of business because we probably lost 80% of our customer base at mostly no fault of our own within 7 months.
Hey guys, it's Wes Israelson with Give Us It Podcast. I'm here up on the mountain for season 3, where we are on the snowmobile, we're on the ice, we're having a blast. If you are a leader, you're someone who owns a business, you're someone who wants to run your business, you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is, our goal is to connect with like-minded, amazing people out on the snow, doing something fun, even on the ice. If you want your chance to be a part of something special, network with some amazing people, share your stories, share your experiences, and help grow your business, help grow our business, help connect with other people. Give Us It Podcast, where we care about the way you sit. Hey guys, this is Wes Israelson with Give Us It Podcast. We are up here in the mountain. We obviously snowing. I'm with, a guy that's in a networking group, but multiple businesses, multiple shops, and he also runs a successful business. He focuses on building and growth. With that, I want you to introduce your name, your business, and how you guys, just a small intro to what you guys do.
Yeah, my name is Matt Kirchner. I'm half owner with my partner John Vixinik of Accuracy Automotive and Pyle Wheel and Brake. We're located in South Salt Lake, Murray, Utah, and Holiday, Utah, and we are full service auto repair from oil changes to engine replacements, and we give you what your car needs when you need it.
And with that, we're in a networking group, but past that, I want to go back to your younger ages. So you're not from Utah.
No.
Where are you from?
I'm from Mentor, Ohio. Mentor, we pronounce it Mentor. It's about 15 minutes east of Cleveland.
And the automotive world is not what you started in business for, right?
No.
So can we dive into what was your, well, I want to even go further back. Let's just go this way. D3, what does that mean?
Division 3. Division 3 baseball. That's the collegiate baseball world where you're not going anywhere for one reason or another. Either not good enough or you're injury plagued or both, but you want to keep playing and you want to go to college.
But it takes still a lot of talent to be able to get to a D3, does it not? Was
it's
it just
college baseball?
Yeah.
It's college baseball.
And where were you playing?
Position-wise or college?
Well, both, let's say.
I actually went junior college for 2 years after getting hurt the summer of my senior year of high school. And then from there, I got hurt my sophomore year of JUCO. So then my buddy who played down there, he said, come play down here, you'll start right away. And we're pretty good. And so I played third base at Muskingum University. I switched over to first base, stopped pitching after hurting my shoulder, but I ended up getting hurt again and just hanging it up completely. But yeah, so the short answer, Muskingum University, third base, first base.
That's cool. And then, so you went from baseball to what? What else did you go? You started...
I didn't know at the time baseball was my identity, but I think about a year after finishing college, I just said kind of, now what? We played 118 games when I was 14 years old. So it was that and then go right into basketball season until I got to college. And then it was year-round baseball, so it's like, now what? Now what do I do? And it's like, well, I always wanted to snowboard. So I picked up a snowboard, and the first day, falling on my butt all night because it's night skiing. Said, yeah, I'm going to be doing this the rest of my life. So I bought a snowboard. Later on, switched over to skis, and we raced out east, raced on ice. That's what we did. So switched over to skis, and I just kept traveling out west, and eventually got to the point where it's like, what am I waiting for? What am I doing in Ohio still? There's nothing left for me here. So eventually just packed up and moved out to Utah. Just picked a spot on Craigslist, made a down payment in a
good old Craigslist.
Yeah, you remember that? That still exists, right?
Yeah, well, somewhere I'm sure. But even with that, you started high school baseball into love of snowboarding, I should say, not snowmobiling yet.
Yeah.
But you said you moved out west, you just picked a spot, but you just started doing fitness too.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about that a little.
Yeah, so I had a sales job, B2B, the 4 hours of phone calls, 50 doors a day, and it just wasn't me. Not so much like the sales part of it. I was actually pretty good at it, but just the company I was with wasn't something it wasn't a company it was a reseller, DHL shipping, and I didn't really believe in them, and I like to believe in something that I'm, putting effort toward and selling people on. So I just wanted to get into something that I loved, would help people, didn't really care about the money side of things. Eventually, I think every job turns into that, like how can I grow, where can I make more, where can I do more? But it's always been back to fitness. I had probably kind of the opposite. I was 6'3", 165 when I was a junior in high school, and I had like the opposite like self-image in myself, like I'm skinny, like skinny, like how do I put on weight? So I was always interested in that. And then, so I went to the National Personal Training Institute. Then from there, I worked for a guy named Bob Khalil, and he's the trainer for Stipe Miocic,
Wow.
former UFC heavyweight champ. So I started as an intern. I said, hey, bring me on. You don't need to pay me. I'm taking my test for CSCS, which stands for Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist. When I pass that, let's talk, And then, so I got hired on after that, after being an intern. And then, great trainer. Some would argue he's not the best businessman. They ended up closing up, so I went out on my own and did my own thing. I went into like people's homes who had home gyms, or I had like portable equipment. And then parks, I had boot camps at parks and stuff like that. I went to high schools that let me use their, track and their field and their gym, stuff like that. So I worked out, kind of agreements with them. But yeah, kind of all around, athletic side, athletic training, strength and conditioning, and general fitness. I like both of them. So.
And then with that, so did you always have the drive for fitness ever since you said you were 6'3", 130? Like,
I think it was before. I mean, when I was 13 years old, it was always like, yeah, don't lift weights, you'll stunt your growth until you're old enough. So I always wanted to. I always like looked at bodybuilders and stuff and said, wow, like that, awesome. I don't want to be that big, but I always looked at that and then just like always was antsy to get in the gym and stuff. So my dad, he bought this thing that's like a push-up, dip, and pull-up kind of contraption, and that's what I started with. Me and a few guys on our baseball team when we were like 13 years old.
Well, that's cool because you guys built upper body strength, especially for baseball, right?
Yeah.
So that probably helped you get to D3 in some way.
Well, and then you learn you can't skip leg day,
Unless you hit good, right? But even then, it's hard.
That's where all the power comes from. It's all in the hips.
Yeah. I mean, some argue that you can just have technique, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, in anything, the more strength you have, the better it's going to be anyway, right? So with that, jumping back forward, you landed in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
What about Utah? What was it? Was it just the snow?
It was between here, Vail, Colorado, Truckee, California, and actually Anchorage, Alaska. Just felt right. Sandy, Utah, 30 minutes away from 7 different resorts, if you count Park City resorts. And I was okay with becoming a ski bum if that were what happened, but it also gave me a shot at, having a business life.
Yeah.
So I just felt right.
And I think that, people in business, you travel this path where it's not like I just want to do this one thing and then if it doesn't work, I just stop. It's almost like we find the next thing to do. So it sounds like you went from, I mean, you're still in fitness, obviously, but you went from baseball to sales to finding snowboarding to now owning another business and continue to grow and develop too, right?
Yeah.
I know that there's something about towing.
Yeah.
And there's something about automotive that you just love.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the business side and I think it's the growth aspect. It's like if I look at something and it's something great, I think I recognize that. And I say, what do I have in front of me? Are the numbers there? Is the product there? Is the service there? Like, what's good about this? Like, what can I get? Not what can I get from it, but like, what can I take from what they're doing and kind of like let the world see that, and how do I grow that? I think that's what excites me about it in business in general. I think I learned it's not just one thing. It's like, I moved out here, even in fitness, it was like, I went to the Treehouse Athletic Club for 4.5 years. And the one thing I saw is you're doing $10,000 a month in personal training for a gym with 5,000 members. I want to do X, Y, and Z. So we took it to 40,000 a month in personal training. And that was my whole kind of focus, even if there were other things they wanted me to focus on. That was my main focus. So, with towing, I happened to meet my partner with that. They hired me as a consultant. My client at Treehouse and her husband and I talked stock ideas and through each other. And when you're training people, you talk about just about everything that's
I'm sure
reasonable. You're like an uneducated therapist, I guess, and both ways too. It's like, there's a line, obviously.
there's certain things you probably don't want to hear, but you
Right,
probably
exactly,
heard.
or I don't want to share. But at the same time, it's, they talk, she would talk business, and I would say, well, here's what I would do, or I would do X, Y, Z, and I would do it this way, and they actually took some of that and applied it and put like $80,000 back into their pocket.
Wow.
Per year. And that's when they said, we want to hire you as a consultant. And I'm like, what does that entail? And they said, once a week, come over, $1,000 a month. I'm like, okay, that sounds great to me. So later they asked me if I wanted to buy ownership, specifically buy her out. Sometimes in business with husband and wife, you take it home with you. And I think that's what they were running into. So that's how I got into towing, is that way, through them.
And I wanted to highlight, so not only are you teaching people to get stronger, but how many of those people that you're teaching every day are consistent with it?
They're consistent with it.
Good.
Yeah, I'd say very. I think if you're going to spend the amount of money to invest in, I guess, training, nutrition, coaching your workouts and your exercises when you're not with your trainer, there comes a level of accountability.
Yeah.
So people generally show up. There's people who show up and they go through the motions and it's impossible to get them to do anything. And there's people who go to a trainer just to say that they go to a trainer, and then they go home and then they eat whatever they want. And so there's frustrating parts about that, but you can't do it for them. I'd say mostly consistent, though, as far as showing up.
Good. I find that a lot of people struggle to be consistent with their fitness side. We need to put a bigger emphasis on, as a country, on it in my mind. But in general, I think there's a lot of people that are overboard, and there's a lot of people that don't do it a lot. But back to the business side. So you came in as a consultant giving, let's say, free advice, because you're not necessarily, this is just, if it were me, this is what I would do. And they turned and made $80K a year off of doing that.
Yeah, it was cutting expenses while getting better performance out of their business. So not like $80,000 more in sales, but
bottom line number.
Profitability.
Yeah. Which is, that's huge, right?
I think so, yeah.
Especially because if you think gross revenue 80K is one thing, but if your profit's 80K or bottom line's 80K off of no more gross, that means you've increased the way people's performance is. You have KPIs that are set, and you're also managing different.
Yeah.
So it comes back into fitness. So the way you'd probably manage people when they're going through fitness is probably similar. You'd give them steps to go through, and probably why a lot of people stay consistent in my mind too, really. So, but you said something about business ownership. So did you have any part ownership in that?
Yeah, so I ended up, so we merged with Legacy and 801 Towing at one point, and my shares of the overall whole diluted to 12%. So small amount of ownership, but it was a pretty big small business.
And if you could tell someone listening today who has a small majority owner, or at least ownership with multiple partners, what was one lesson you learned during that process?
As a 12% owner, the lesson that I learned was that I wanted to be at least a 50 to 100% owner. And that's just my personality. Everybody's going to be a little different, because I put forth a lot of energy and effort and thought and work. It's like if I always look at it like if I go out and make the business $100,000, I get 12,000, and depending on how let's say somebody's a 80% owner, they get 80,000 of that for my efforts, which is great. I mean, because there's other ways to negotiate as far as salary go or commission or whatnot. But yeah, the other thing I learned is that when something's working, it's a good thing, and don't discredit that. That's always err on the side of sticking with it.
Yeah.
When something's working.
And it's a hard thing to realize, but the things that got you to where you are, you can't necessarily give up, but sometimes you have to pivot and do those different, but what you're saying is don't give up, don't stop that thing.
Yeah.
Right? And it's valuable for people listening to understand that business ownership it can be hard with multiple partners, right? Especially if you don't have
company, three's a crowd.
Yeah.
We had 4 at one point. Yeah, I've seen some pretty heavy arguments, like that. I mean, screaming matches.
Yeah.
So.
And that's no fun for anyone.
No.
And you're all just trying to do something. You're all just trying to make a living and make money, right? With the investment you put in too.
You want to make your life more enjoyable.
Yes.
That's why one of the reasons I think people get into business ownership. You want more out of life.
Yeah. And sometimes people don't understand what that also takes. It takes a lot to get there too.
Pros and cons.
Yeah.
There's sleepless nights. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad.
So back to the towing side. I know that you had mentioned before that sometimes you get, the way a towing company works is you'd have this company call you, go pick up all these cars, and they'd sit on the lot for X amount of time, and then you may not get paid. So revenue can be lost if people aren't paying for their vehicles, right?
Yeah.
So take us through a lesson you learned there, because that's pretty valuable for people to listen to in my mind.
Yeah, so we had over 900 properties, and it's all up to the property manager, whether you patrol it, whether it's on call, and what you tow for. It could be expired registration, could be parking in handicap spots, could be parking in fire lanes, could be somebody else's reserved spot. And then even further, it's, do you want us to tow for expired registration immediately? Do you want us to put a 24-hour warning, a 72-hour warning? It's all up to the property manager. It's a very highly regulated industry, and for a reason. So when you do tow a vehicle, sometimes they are abandoned. Sometimes they're not, but they're not very valuable. Sometimes they are valuable and somebody went to jail or got deported or something like that. And so there's multiple reasons why somebody may not pick up their car. I mean, I think it was around $203 after all the fees and everything for the initial tow and storage, and then it's $40 every additional day. The price that comes along with a vehicle not getting picked up is that you already paid out all these expenses, which is probably around $200 per tow when you really break it down. And then you fill up your yard with vehicles, which then you risk damaging other vehicles because you have to move them out of the way for others to pick them up. And you're trying logistically to line them up as best as possible and kind of set up your yard to be as efficient as possible. And then you may have to buy more space, or you have to find a way to get rid of the vehicles quicker. And there's a process to do that when something's abandoned. They don't pick it up.
And I love what you had mentioned before too, that as a business, you can't keep losing revenue, right? Or if you have, let's say, a lot that can hold 100 cars and you filled it and no one's picking them up, you're not getting money, right? You've already paid for the tow, and like you said, so what did you start to do with all of those cars that actually generated more money back to the business?
Yeah, so there's a process. When you tow a vehicle, you send out a certified letter to the registered owner's address. That's all the information you have. So it either gets received or it comes back undelivered for whatever reason. They don't live there anymore. It's, the registered address is not the right address anymore and it didn't get updated. So 30 days after it comes back undelivered or after receipt of delivery, it's considered abandoned. So there's a process called insufficient evidence of ownership where you can apply for the title or the dismantle permit, whichever if it's a car that you're not going to sell, then you get a dismantle permit, or it's $6 for a title, dismantle permit's free. So every little bit is a big deal. And then when it's getting a vehicle, you got to get a key made. So there's that additional expense. So getting a dismantle permit over a title just ensures that we're sending it to tear apart or pull apart or whatever junkyards are around still.
And Chris Mantis, the owner of Tear Apart's a good friend of mine too.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
yeah. And he,
They own Alpha Towing
Yeah.
and I think a metal recycling plant and another.
yeah, I mean, Chris Mantis is amazing. Anyway, amazing guy. But he's been a good friend, and anyway, he's taught me a lot. But I wanted to highlight all that just to get into accuracy.
Okay.
Okay, because I want people to understand you have such a focus on everything you put your mind to, and then you have this intent to grow it. Your intention's to make money and have the lifestyle you want, right? With putting in the work it takes to do that. So with that into Accuracy Automotive, why go from towing into automotive? Like what's the joy behind understanding that towing may or may not work out, even though it does for a lot of businesses, but now you actually fix the cars that people need fixed? Like
So that was it initially, right? Is let's fix these abandoned vehicles up and sell them for more. And, we sold a lot of $500 cars, and they were $500 for a reason. And if we fix them up, spend $300 and sell it for $600 more, you profit another $300. How quickly can we turn that over? How does that look? And my partners, they didn't really want to do that. It made sense to me, didn't make sense to them. But that's when I kind of said, well, do you care if I still do? And they said, yeah, that's fine with us. I was actually moved into an absentee position during that time. And that's where I knew John before, but that's where I reached out to John and kind of pitched him the idea of this business that I had found on bizbuysell.com. And it made sense to me, and I kind of went over it with him, and he was on board with it too.
That's cool. And so you met John, who is your partner, correct?
Correct.
And you guys you invested in and bought an auto mechanic shop.
Yes.
Which one did you buy first?
So Accuracy Automotive in Murray
Okay.
was the first one we bought in 2019.
In 2019. And understanding the capital it takes, I'm sure, to do that, right? Whether it's an SBA loan or you have cash, whichever it is, it's still a lot of stress to be able to do that. And you have employees already currently, plus the old owner. So did he stay part of it, or did he just transition completely?
No, he was retiring. So it was the father and the son owned it, and the father was retiring. So the son's kind of attitude was, I just want to allow my dad to retire. So, and yes, it was a little stressful going through it. Anybody who's been through the SBA loan process knows that.
Yeah.
It could be very frustrating at times, but it's an opportunity nonetheless.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we liked Accuracy because of the name. Love the name. The image that they have, their reviews that they have. The plan was to keep everybody on board that was working there, because great business is made up of great people, and for the most part, the key employees are there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it's a big thing to a shock to the employees if the owner sells, right? And if they stay on, it's one thing, but if they completely get out and new ownership comes in, sometimes there's a lot of scarcity that can set in, right? But you said that most of the tenured employees, I'd say maybe, stayed on, and you guys continue to grow as a business.
Yeah, so it was 4 employees. So they all stayed on. The previous owner, the son, who was the master technician, stayed on for quite some time, and both managers stayed on until one of them moved to Germany, and the one currently is still there, and he's a key employee for sure.
So you found this on biz.gov, is that what you said?
bizbuysell.com.
bizbuysell.com. So from Craigslist to bizbuysell.com.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
Them all.
That's good though. But you bought into a business, and what you knew is that I could take this and I can make this.
That was my thought. That was my belief.
How important is belief in business?
I think it's pretty important.
Yeah.
I'd say it's essential.
Yeah.
I'd say it's essential.
that
you
belief,
have to have it.
yeah. And I want to go back because I think we skipped over the version of where did you, and when did you meet your wife?
Oh, yeah, that's the most important thing. So, oh man, it's this incredible story at a bar.
In Utah.
Yeah, in Utah. So, no, I met her at Gracie's downtown. Yeah. I don't think she wanted to meet anybody at the time. I don't think I wanted to meet anybody at the time. I was about a year out here, and I had moved out here shortly after a marriage had ended. So I was like, oh man, I didn't want to meet anybody. But the funny thing is we both had like the same story probably 3 days after we met, 3 days or 3 dates or something like that. We each had separately told our friend, like, I think I'm going to marry her. And she said, I think I'm going to marry him. So it's kind of funny, like going back, looking at that, saying the same thing at the same exact time, and just, I guess it was meant to be.
You know what's really cool is when you talk to people and when you ask about a wife or a spouse and you see them light up like he did, that's amazing. I mean, honestly, it's amazing because it's one of the parts in life that they have to be there, or you need someone for support, and a spouse is usually that person, whether they are or not, they usually are, right? And if you have a good one. So describe how you guys actually met. Like at a bar is great, but what happened? Playing pool, just bumped into each other, something random?
Yeah, so actually, let's see, start it here. I smoked cigarettes and I dipped in, like, through the college
A
baseball.
fitness guy?
Yeah, I know, right? So I smoked cigarettes and I dipped, and it was always the thing I'd tell myself is I'll quit after college, and I didn't quit. It was a year after college and I didn't quit. I'm like, well, geez, how do I quit? And it's like, you know, I'd go to a bar, have a couple of beers or wherever, and it's like you would want a cigarette more. So I'm making the decision to stop drinking so I can quit smoking. You know, so I did both of those, and I'd gone about, you know, 5.5 years, and I'm out in Utah, and, you know, my buddy, he just bought a few shots at the bar, and he said, yeah, if you help me carry them over, you can have one of them. You know, and Annie is my wife's name, and she was like, oh, no, but her friends were out, and, you know, so she came over, and yeah, I just started talking to her when she came over to our table.
How long after you met at that bar at Gracie's did you actually propose? How long was it?
5 years. I don't know if it was exact. So just, let me start over. We got married exactly 5 years of the day we met. We got engaged about a year and a few months before that.
That's cool. So you got to know each other, you got to live with each other, you got to be a part of each other to realize it would work or not work, or really invest in each other, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people jump into marriage or business sometimes too soon and don't understand some of the consequences, or partners, right? So
Well, I think both of us using previous relationships to learn from and take our relationship from the things we learned, take our relationship and make it what we wanted.
yeah. And what does your wife do for work?
Oh man, she's a stud. She when I met her, she was a dental assistant. She went to Fortis while I was with her, Fortis College, became a dental hygienist. So she was a dental hygienist. And then she just likes to learn. She loves to learn things. She loves school. So then her next step was just like a perfect fit for a dental hygienist. She learned how to do what's called a buccal facial. She went out to California to learn that, and she was the first person to do that. And okay, back up. So she went to NEMA, esthetician school, to become an esthetician. Then she jumped into that. And she also did like this training with this, I wish I knew his name, I wish I knew his business or his company, but he's in Russia, and so there was actually a translator for this buccal facial training, and she'll probably not want me to talk about this because it's like her kind of gray area, but because it is like a massage. But she got into that. It's an intraoral facial that helps with TMJ, it helps lift the face. It's pretty relaxing. I've done it. It's kind of hard with the beard, but yeah, she does primarily that. But now she's kind of shifted gears into fitness coaching with a company called Fit Bliss.
Okay.
And even before that, she's been doing independent coaching for posing for bikini bodybuilders in the bikini class. She also does male clients now in physique and bodybuilding. She also did like spray tanning while she was doing that. And now she's just kind of dialed it back to stuff she can all do from home with the fitness coaching and the posing coaching.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you guys kind of basically do your own businesses, and you guys, anyway, but it's back to fitness and also back to, it sounds like she loves it. So,
Yeah.
which is,
So she has done, I want to say 13 bodybuilding shows herself.
Wow.
She has won a few out here. She has done a few national shows. So the goal was to get your pro card. So a lot of these national shows, you either need to finish first in your class, or some of them allow like the top 2. I'm not sure, I may be wrong on this, but some of them may allow the top 3. But so it's very difficult. And I know like in her Vegas show, which is the last one she did, last national show she did, she got second call out. So she was pretty close. And she always talks about doing it again. And I know she misses it. And she was great. She loves being on stage. She loves being in front of a crowd. And it is pretty amazing to watch. It's a hard thing to do.
yeah. I mean, the level it takes to get to just do a competition, then you're in front of all the people, right? And you're against some of the best in the world, if not the best in the world. So it takes a lot of focus. I mean, 10% is one thing, but 2 to 4%, right, is crazy.
Yeah.
It's almost not healthy in a way, but
Or not enjoyable.
yes. But now I want to go back in, because I just want to get through kind of the passion of what you and your wife have, and back into automotive. So why do you have a passion for accuracy? Like, why do you show up every day? Like, why?
Well, I really feel it's my purpose, whether it's what I keep doing now or whether the universe has another plan for me in the future. But right now, it's my purpose. And I think in business, you really get to express through your business your identity, your personality, and who you are. So I think that John and I, John, I went out to John because he knows automotive, and he is an incredibly intelligent person, very, very smart. And I knew a long time ago, I realized invest in smart people, keep the company of smart people, and good things happen. But, so it really, John takes a lot of pride. He runs the Murray store, and he takes a lot of pride in the 5-star reviews that he gets. Customers come there to see him and how he treats and explains things and talks to the customers. And it really represents who we are. And it's a great opportunity to give the world, or our little small portion of it that we live in, a representation of who we are. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
And you can do that through anything, I feel. And auto repair just happens to be my path at the moment. And, I take a lot of care in that. If that's who I am, I'm not willing to have that be a negative image. It's going to be a positive image.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people that start a business in general, that build out something or buy into something, they want, A, I don't want to fail, or B, it's my name and my reputation. So I'm going to be honest, I'm going to do it the best I can with the knowledge I have. I'm going to invest in people. Some businesses don't do that, but most businesses invest to grow, right? Yeah. But you guys do something called I think it's a digital scan, or what is it called? Digital
inspection.
So tell us what that is. So if a customer today, what would they expect when they come through Accuracy? What does that look like?
So I want to jump back to something you said about people and they don't want to fail. If you're looking to get into business, or just in general, anything in life, you're going to fail. Like, get used to it and fail your way forward. Like, that's the saying, right? Is fail your way forward.
So before you jump forward then.
Yeah.
So what you said that John does in Murray, what happened with Pyle when you guys bought it?
With Pyle? So when we bought it, total operation almost went out of business because we probably lost 80% of our customer base at mostly no fault of our own within 7 months. And what we learned is that a few things which in the future, when we buy a business, we'll make further like expectations of the previous owner, or further, I guess, demands, as you would call them. But, you know, they were really tied to this owner, his customers. And when you have a business that's over 70 years old, and I think between him and his father, they had probably owned it for 40, you know, you get a customer base that's very loyal and trusting to you. So, you know, we tried to plan on the transition and everything of a new owner, but eventually you still get to the point, even 5 months later, you know, you have to let the people know that that person has moved on. So it was, hey, is Brett there? As the phone rang, you know, and we'd answer it, say, no, Brett retired. You know, eventually we got to that point of just informing people that he retired. And it would immediately just be a click, you know, not a question, well, do you guys still work on cars? Well, you know, anything like that. It was just a click. The other thing was that he basically ran his business through his cell phone. And when we bought it, he said, hey, I get, you know, some texts sometimes. Who do you want me to forward those to? It was everybody would text him, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. So when you go from having the owner and texting him at your disposal to calling a landline during business hours, that's a big change. Questions come up in customers' head. And when they're up to an hour away, there's other options. So, you know, we had to build back that, that customer base, which was essentially about $700,000 of gross revenue a year.
So that's an 80% loss of gross revenue within the first 5 months of buying the business, right?
I'd say 7 months, 8 months, you know, is kind of when it hit, you know, where it was like, whoa, what happened? You know, and we had to really step back, review, and see what we wanted to do and how to go about it. But yeah, we estimate about 70 to 80%, because when we look back and we look through the customer list and we look through it's only so close you can get. But based on our revenue and our revenue with new customers, I'd estimate around 70%.
And there's always transition when that happens, right? But this is something, like you said, so the lesson you learn in some ways, if you're going to buy a business, also invest in the owner to make sure he stays around to help all the clients with the transition in some ways, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was 2 weeks. We had done 2 weeks with Accuracy Murray. We had done 2 weeks with our holiday store, you know, which was Lancer Automotive at the time. So there was no reason to think otherwise. Now, I mean, our general manager, Shane, would say 2 years, but I think that's a little overkill. I laugh, but maybe I'm wrong. You know, I don't want to underestimate it, but.
I mean, if you go back and look at, like, if you go to most business podcasts, I'm going to use Dave Ramsey because his is pretty good. He talks about it's almost a 10-year plan. Mm-hmm. Like, to get someone to transition from CEO out and the new CEO to come in, just that transition alone's about a 6 to 10 year plan, depending on how you do it. Too quick, things happen. Too long, it also is worse for the employees and everybody else because no one knows who's in charge. So having a good plan is also great. Now I want to jump back to your digital inspection, sorry, because I wanted people to understand that, not that you failed, but that was a hard time. 2022, 80% loss in revenue. That's a hard year.
Yeah, it's not fun. Like I said, I mean, there's sleepless nights as a business owner. Those were some of the worst of them. But, you know, among other things that, you know, you stress out about already, you know, it just kind of compounds that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And it's important to have your spouse on board, right? It's important to have a support system. It's probably great having a partner too.
Oh, it's torture for, like, she's amazing. Like, trust me. But yeah, I mean, it just goes back to, you know, learning from everything in your past too. I mean, I had a sales position, so that's the first thing I did is I went and I started knocking on doors for fleet accounts. Yeah. And that's how we built back our business in 2023 and 2024. And now we had a record month in January. And among other ways of gaining new customers and just focusing on what we do and giving the customer the experience of what we do and them, I guess, liking that experience.
Yeah. So you mean to tell me you as the business owner stepped back out, day-to-day role you still did, but you got back in your car, drove to each door and started knocking and building accounts?
It was a change in our SEO, our that we used, our focus on Google Ads as well with our new marketing company, I guess you would call it, who does our CEO and our Google Ads. And we got a new CRM. And then, yes, got out. You could always sell. I think that's the one thing that, I hear. I don't know, Shark Tank, I'm not a big fan of the show, but you could always go out and sell. Yeah. It's one thing that's in your control, and that started working, and I'm just going to do that every day. And some days I'd sit there for half an hour in my car trying to motivate myself, get over the anxiety, and just once I got started, you just keep going. Yeah. So it's like once I got in that first, you get in that first door, and then it's just natural. You get in a flow and you get going because you think, oh man, I'm going to go in there. You overthink it. Who am I going to run into? What am I going to say? You get your pitch down. We had these little trifolds and coupons and something for somebody to hold on to, because we get people 12 months later. I mean, I'd follow up. I'd take notes. I'd get business cards. But I'd stop into qualified leads more frequently than non-qualified leads. But I'd still stop in. Something might change. 12 months later, somebody comes in and because they have something to hold on to, they see it on their bookshelf or something, and they're like, give these guys a try. If somebody screws up or they get too busy, here, go to these guys,
That's cool. That's way cool. And now back to sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say back to digital inspection.
Accuracy current day. What does it look like for someone who, whether it's inspections to an engine repair.
Yeah.
What does a digital inspection look like? Just so they can understand why you guys are different, how you honestly care about what they do.
Yeah, so there's two different things that people come in to get their cars looked at for. Some things are an actual diagnosis, like, hey, my check engine light is on. Hey, I have this noise. Hey, this is leaking. So we go in and there's a fee to get that looked at, figure out what's going on, and then get the estimate over. So during that, we do a full inspection of the vehicle visually. So we lift the car up in the air, you shake the wheels, see if there's any movement, and then go further if there is. You check the brakes, you check all the fluids, see if there's any leaks or seepages, things like that. You listen for any noises, and then they get it sent to their phone. We take pictures and video where necessary, and right to their phone, they get kind of like an overall health of their vehicle. So they see red, yellow, green. Green is obviously good. Yellow is like, hey, start paying attention to this. May or may not need immediate attention, but maybe something, hey, let's look at it at your next oil change, but you don't need to do anything with it now. And then red, where it's a safety concern. Hey, you need to get this done or you're having a safety concern. Yeah. You could hurt yourself or other people. Or your car just won't operate unless you do it. It could cause further engine damage or something like that. So people really like that, and that's probably the most important thing that we do, because it's already kind of a dirty taste in people's mouth when you think auto repair shop, right? So we want to be a place that everybody can go. We want to build relationships. We want to build trust. And that takes time, and these types of things where people can see, oh, we can't align your vehicle unless you replace this tie rod because the tie rod's broken. Like, oh, sure, they just want me to spend the money on a tie rod, and are holding me hostage so they won't align my vehicle unless I do it. It's like, no, look, here's a picture of this broken tie rod. Oh, okay. Yeah, they're not just trying to get me, and maybe that's not the case, but that's kind of like some of the feedback that I get of what people like about that, is that they know we're not trying to sell them things that they don't need, and we're not just trying to get them in there and sell them for $1. And that's what the digital inspection provides.
And that's great. And then with Accuracy Automotive, you guys have 3 locations.
Yes.
Right? So you have Murray, you have Holiday, and then you have, is it South Salt Lake?
South Salt Lake.
South Salt Lake. And you guys have the fleet side. And you have the personal vehicle side.
Yeah. So Accuracy Automotive Fleet Division, which is our South Salt Lake store, we chose to keep Pile Automotive. The name has been around for 75 years, so we think that's pretty cool. And probably 50% or more of our business is light duty fleet. Meaning, I guess to put it in like a simple way, an F550 or equivalent or lighter,
Okay.
that size vehicle.
So mainly person vehicles, no real big box vans or box trucks or stuff like that, generally.
Smaller box trucks,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Okay. And then how do people get a hold of you? And plus, you have Google reviews,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Those are super important to business.
Everything for us. That's why we got a new CRM, is because of the way the old one tried to generate Google reviews. But nowadays, think of how would you go about finding an auto repair shop if your vehicle started making a noise or broke down, for that matter. You're going to get on your phone and you're going to say auto repair near me, or where do I get my check engine light fixed, or brake replacement near me. You know, so we have to pop up. That's the SEO and Google Ads side of things. And then when people are looking, they're looking at where you're going to look at the first 3 to 5 first, because that's what pops up first.
Yeah.
And then they're going to look at your reviews. You know, so our reviews are everything. And that was another thing, is we had a really bad manager that got us like 4 or 5 really bad 1-star reviews that brought us from a 4.9 down to like a 4.5. And we probably held on a little too long. I'm optimistic, and people want to see it work out for them and think that they have the best intentions and want to represent us as best as possible. But, you know, I think that was a good learning experience, in that we realized how big of a deal our Google reviews are. Probably every other new customer that calls in says, I called you because of your reviews.
That's amazing. I mean, that's a good thing. It's amazing testament to what you guys do as a business too. So, and with accuracy, so how do people get a hold of you? Who should they call? Should they just Google? Should they just look at your, like what you just said is basically how people get a hold of you. Is it find the closest store to them, or issue specific thing, or what would you say?
The closest store to them. I mean, we're all pretty close.
Within miles, right?
But yeah, Holiday, Murray, South Salt Lake. But each shop has master techs there. So we do everything at every shop. We just have the equipment and capability to handle fleet at our Salt Lake store. And then accuracyautomotive.com is the best way. Pile has a separate website, pileauto.com. And on each of those websites, there is a phone number to call and a phone number to text.
That's awesome. And then with that, what does success look like to you and Accuracy Automotive? What does success look like to you?
Freedom.
Freedom.
Freedom. Very easy to, and it's like, there's a time to go to work, right?
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, it's get up, go door to door, go generate some business. You know, there's pros and cons, there's rewards to owning your own business, but it's all about freedom for me. You know, I've listened to other people that sometimes it's about safety, you know, sometimes it's about security, and you could probably relate those things one way or another to each other. But freedom for me, and that's financial freedom, that's freedom from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, that's freedom to make my own decisions, and that's freedom to travel, which is one of the things my wife and I like to do. And you know, that ebbs and flows. Sometimes there's more time for it, sometimes there's less time for it. But
so what's a favorite movie, and what's your favorite destination?
oh wow, favorite destination is Waikiki.
Okay.
Love going to Duke's, getting out on the patio and just feeling the energy. It's there's a lot going on, there's a lot of people, but it doesn't feel crowded. So the energy, and it's just Hawaii in general, we've been to Maui too. It's just a special place. It's just a different feel. Favorite movie, wow, I haven't thought about that one in a long time. It always had been The Matrix.
Which one?
The
though?
trilogy.
Oh, okay.
There's not a best one. There's not a best one. I don't care what people say about number 3. Oh, well, the new one that came out, like 5 or 10 years ago, is terrible. But they tried to smash everything all into one. But I'm drawing a blank, but that movie with Matthew McConaughey where he goes to in another galaxy. Gosh, what is it? Interstellar.
I've never seen it.
You never seen Interstellar? Go watch Interstellar.
Okay.
That'll change the way, well, maybe not, but gives you a kind of a perspective on life, the universe, and dimensions. It's pretty entertaining.
So I want you to Accuracy's phone number, at least give one of them, and then kind of why people should really take your guys' company serious. Other than all the stuff you've talked about, like you guys are going to professionally and personally take care of them. Your Google reviews showcase that already. You're going to do the digital inspection, right? And you're also going to send it to them, so they get to see this before you actually call. Maybe you call right when it gets sent, but phone number, 3 location addresses maybe, and then why should they come see you guys?
Okay, Holiday location 801-273-0664, Murray location 801-266-3609, South Salt Lake location 801-467-7455. The reason you should come see us is that based off what I see in our Google reviews, what people like, is that we use only high quality OEM or equivalent parts. We do the job right. We communicate and set expectations. We don't try and oversell you. We don't sell you on things that you don't need. So we could do everything right, give you the right price for it, for quality, where it's going to be done right. We give your car what you need. We give your car what it needs when you need it.
Yes. And you guys do that. Well, there's a lot of people that we know personally that have gone to you for years. Andrew Russo is one of them, I'm sure. And we've talked numerous times about who he would recommend. So, right? Anything else you want to highlight?
I don't think so. That was a lot.
That was good.
And I already ramble, so.
Stop saying that. You're great. I mean, it's valuable for people to understand.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it could be any business. Whatever it is, just focus and give it its all. What's the last thing I'm going to ask, and then we're done?
Okay.
Small business owner starts today. What do they need to do? What should they stop doing? And what is something you would tell them from the things you've learned?
I think what they need to do is know their numbers. I mean, that's everything. I think for me, one of my skills is I could look at, P&L balance sheet, and I can know what's going on in the business. So there's a reason they say, know your numbers, know your business. Stop wasting time. I mean, for real, there's business owners that I've seen that are busy just for the sake of being busy. They find things to make them busy that don't get them anywhere, because that's what makes them feel fulfilled at the end of the day. So stop wasting time on just being busy. Do things that have an impact. And honestly, you're a business owner. You're taking on a lot of risk. Like, you're taking on a lot of things. If doing nothing is more efficient, then do nothing. I mean, my biggest thing in our businesses is the employees. So I always say, hire great employees and get out of their way. So I guess say, stop micromanaging. Stop micromanaging and stop wasting time.
And even higher quality, right? Because that's one thing
Quality.
you guys, quality.
Quality. We have had some hard lessons on, not that we intended to not hire quality, but when you could do a little bit more research on people to prevent not having the best person in that place, in that position. Yeah. And then the last one was, as a new business owner, what they should be doing.
Well, I mean, you
or
and
if they're
I,
looking to be a business owner.
yeah, but I mean, even you and I know when you hit the hard thing, when you hit the first hard thing,
Yeah.
because there's multiple, and they never stop. What do you do?
What do you do? What choice do you have? I mean,
Well, some people fold.
Well, that was it, right? It's, hey, we can take out this short-term loan, buy ourselves some time and figure it out. Buy ourselves some time to figure it out, or we can take out this short-term loan and we still end up going out of business, but we tried. I mean, you really have no choice. You give up or you keep going. And I mean, it's, above all things, be resilient.
Yeah, consistent to what it is.
Yeah.
Consistent to the focus that you have.
I think that's something that would, if you're nervous about it, if you don't feel like you're good enough, if you're resilient, you'll find a way.
And I want to highlight, so to the end of the episode, this is Give Us It Podcast. I want to highlight this guy because seriously, you see the focus, you see the passion, you see the detail, and he's going to go through it to the very end. It's his name, it's his persona. He's
Our
going,
name, John and I.
yes, but still, in general, it's Derek and I, same thing, but
Right.
either one, you guys are going to take it as if it's your own. So if anyone that comes in there and they have an issue, it'll actually be you guys that can help with solving those issues. Mm-hmm. So you guys take it personal, you take it to a next level as opposed to someone who just sits back and does nothing and just is in Tahiti for a month or two. Or, I mean, hopefully we get there one day, right? With the team that's actually elevating and getting there, right? I just want to say thank you from Give Us It podcast. Hopefully it's fun up there on the snow.
Yeah, it's a blast.
Thanks for being a part of this, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, guys, this is Wes Israelson, Give Us It podcast, where you're on the snow and you miss your chance to actually be on a sled this year. Try next year.